Talk about art imitating life. If you've been following the Manti Te'o scandal, and frankly, who hasn't been, then you're no stranger to the term catfish. The word is used to describe someone who creates a false identity in online romances. Right now, we're joined by the director of Catfish, the documentary, Ariel Schulman. Ariel, first, thanks for joining us. Clearly, the Te'o scandal is right up your alley. You've documented stories just like this for years now, having developed a movie and then a TV series for MTV. What were your initial thoughts when the story broke?
My initial thoughts as soon as I heard about the story was that it sounded really familiar, and that I thought it had all the makings of a classic Catfish story, except on a much higher profile.
Now, Ariel, reports have surfaced that ronaiah has confessed to friends that he is behind this hoax and that he's done it to others prior to corresponding with Te'o. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not surprised to hear that. I've seen with a lot of these catfish cases, somebody has sort of duped a bunch of people in order to find one person that bites the hardest. I think he's a sort of a hopeful romantic, and he believed what he wanted to believe and ignored all the red flags, as a lot of these catfishees do.
Now, Ariel, how often does this type of thing happen, and who does it most often involve? Teenagers, college kids?
Well, I think this sort of thing has been happening for centuries. It's just that the tools have changed, and the modes of catfishing have changed. It's now an online thing. Who could it happen to? Basically, anyone who's looking for a connection. It's not just the most naive people in the world. I couldn't even generalize. It could be any one of us. It tends to be someone with a lonely place in their life looking for connection with a certain type of person.
Ariel, college football is extremely popular with millions of viewers, but are you surprised at the level of attention this is getting on the national stage?
I'm a little surprised, but I think we'll find that there are a lot of that people are starting to realize that this sort of thing is happening all the time, and it doesn't become sort of a national issue until it happens to a celebrity. And when it happened to my brother, a lot of people didn't believe it either, because it's so unbelievable and it's such an intricate ruse. And I think now that they'll see that it's happened to this famous kid, that it's happening all the time.
Ariel, how do you think Te'o is feeling right now, and what should he do going forward?
I think he's probably feeling a lot of complicated emotions. One of those emotions being heartbreak. I mean, whether or not he was talking to Lene and he wasn't, he was falling in love with someone, and he had a real connection with that person. So for that person to disappear, whether that means die or confess to being someone else, that leaves a gaping hole in his life. And I think he probably feels very lonely and confused.
Lastly, Ariel, is there anything in this case that particularly stands out in your mind from the storyline?
I mean, it's curious that he claimed to have met her in person and then sort of retracted that statement. What I figure, and maybe he's covering up, maybe he's embarrassed, but maybe she told him that they had met. And she said, I was at the game that day and we waved at each other, but you probably don't remember. And then he sort of told himself that he had met her and created the memory. And I can understand that.
All right, Ariel Schulman, thanks so much for taking some time with us today. Well, how are Notre Dame students reacting to the Te'o scandal in South Bend? Be sure to check out that video right here on CampusInsiders.com.